Semper Fi, everyone, and welcome to the latest installment of Recon Jack. I'm your host, United States Marine Corps veteran and living historian Chuck Lynch. On today's episode, I'll discuss the M1956 load carrying equipment, which was originally adopted for use exclusively by the United States Army, while the Marine Corps still issued variants of the M1941 pack system until the development of its own 1961 pattern. However, during the Vietnam War, the M1956 Lce and the Marine Corps M1961 improvements came into combined use in combat loadouts. The M1956 Lce was manufactured of heavy olive drab cotton canvas webbing, and it continued application of the belt supported by Suspenders concept from the pattern 1903 equipment. The M1956 individual equipment belt differed little in form and function from the M1936 pistol belt, and would accommodate any of the pouches and equipment that will mount on the M1936 belt. The belt has a metal buckle and 3 rows of eyelets. The top row was usually used for connection of the suspender hooks, the middle row accepts the size adjusting hooks, and the lower row was used for attaching items with an M1910 double hook. The individual equipment belt suspenders utilizes metal rectangular rings for attachment of the ammunition pouch suspension hooks and sleeping bag carrier. The suspender strap hooks connect either to the field pack or, if the field pack is not to be used, directly to the belt. The suspenders also incorporate shoulder pads for slightly more comfort for the wearer. Slide keepers were used to attach the various pouches of the M1956 Lce to the pistol belt, and they tightly held equipment to the pistol belt. Holding equipment close to the belt reduced bouncing that occurred with M1910 double hook attached equipment, and it also allowed pouches to be mounted in places where there were no eyelets, such as the suspenders. The Marine Corps and Army alike employed several types of cartridge belts for soldiers armed with the M1 rifle, BAR belts for those armed with the M1918 Browning automatic rifle, 3-cell and 5-cell pouches for those armed with submachine guns, a pouch for 15-round M1 carbine magazines, and 2 different pouches for the 30-round M2 carbine magazines, in addition to 2-cell and 3-cell grenade pouches. The M1956 small arms ammunition case intended to replace all of these with a pair of simple pouches capable of holding either a 6-pocket bandolier of M1 rifle M-block clips, 8 M1 rifle M-block clips, 2 BAR magazines, 4 M1 or M2 carbine magazines, 3 40mm M79 grenades, or 2 M26 hand grenades, plus 2 hand grenades fastened to the sides of the case. The M1956 Lce was introduced at a time when the M14 rifle was being tested, and the ammunition case was thus also designed to hold 2 M14 magazines. The case was also later found to be capable of holding 3 M16 magazines. The cases were issued in pairs and worn at the front of the belt on either side of the buckle. Like other pouches in the system, the ammunition cases attached to the web belt with a pair of slide keepers, as well as an adjustable length strap with a closure hook which connected to the rectangular hook on the suspenders, intended to keep the case upright and transfer some of the weight directly to the shoulders. With the adoption of the M1956 Lce, the M1910 1-quart aluminum canteen and later World War II production canteens were made with corrosion-resistant steel, and they remained in service well into the 1980s until eventually being replaced by the M1962 plastic canteen. The M1956 canteen cover was not fundamentally different from the earlier models, with the exception of the use of 2 slide keepers and metal snaps for closure. Originally, a single canteen and cover was issued and worn either on the belt between the ammunition case at the front and the field pack at the rear, or mounted on the side of the field pack. Marines and soldiers alike generally carried 2 or more canteens in Vietnam. The M1956 first aid case served the same function as the earlier M1942 field aid packet or lensetic compass case. The case featured a simple flap closure fastened by a snap, with a slide keeper on the back of the case. Each Marine and soldier was issued 1 first aid case for carrying a field dressing, and those whose duties required them to carry a lensetic compass would have a second case for that purpose. Placement varied with unit standards on one of the suspender shoulder pads web keepers, on the pistol belt between the buckle and ammunition case, or on the side of one of the ammunition cases. The M1956 entrenching tool carrier was constructed primarily of cotton duck and similar in shape to the earlier M1943 carrier, reflecting the shape of the blade of the entrenching tool and incorporating an opening at the bottom for the handle of the tool. Leather reinforcement protected the duck from the edges of the tool blade. The rounded webbing reinforced flap lid of the carrier was fastened by means of a round spring socket and stud snap fastener rather than the lift the dot or one-way lift type fasteners used on the M1943 carrier. Another distinct feature was provision for mounting a bayonet scabbard on the carrier. The scabbard mountings were sewn to the front of the carrier at an angle and consisted of a cotton duck rectangle carrying 2 eyelets to receive an M1910 double hook, a leather reinforcement sewn partially underneath the duck rectangle, and a snap fastened strap to hold the scabbard against the front of the carrier. 2 slide keepers for attaching the carrier to the pistol belt were mounted on webbing sewn to the back of the carrier. The carrier was located on the wearer's left side of the pistol belt next to the field pack, although it was alternatively mounted in other locations or on other equipment depending on mission requirements. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Recon Jack, and perhaps you learned something new. Stay tuned for more episodes as I continue to explore the hallowed history, traditions, and individuals of the United States Marine Corps. Please feel free to like this video, subscribe to my channel, click that notification bell, and leave a comment in the section below. I always enjoy interacting with you folks and seeing the growth of this channel. Also, don't hesitate to tell a friend or family member or directly email me to recon_jack@hotmail.com. And until next time, semper fi and carry on.